Howdy everybody, how's it going today? It's Carpo. I'm coming at you from the back room, and today I'd like to talk about entitled people. I didn't really prepare for this video as usual, so I'm just going to be off the top of my head, but you know, I was watching this video the other day of this kid, you know, and it was an older video, it was from like a year ago, and somebody was commenting on this video of this kid who was at a YouTube creator conference who was basically yelling at the security guard, telling the guy that he's trash, and that the kid says, you know, I make more money than you, and you're just a piece of garbage, blue-collar trash, you know. And of course, about a year ago, you know, it was some guy named Christian something rather. But the guy, it turns out, had 20,000 Instagram followers, and that was about it, according to what I read really quick. But and he thought that that made him famous, and he calls himself, you know, rich. I don't know what money he makes off of whatever. He was a model or something. But he was calling the guy ugly, and the guy was giving him this look like, I can't believe this kid, you know. And it's not the first time I've seen a kid, you know, pull some kind of shit like that. I've seen a lot of it in my own personal life. People acting entitled, thinking that, you know, that they're entitled to something because of the way that they are. In other words, because you're rich, you're entitled to a certain treatment. But it's even worse when it's because of your looks. You know, it's one thing to say, well, I'm rich, I can do this. Well, you know, maybe a lot of rich people can get away with a lot of things, unfortunately. To me, it's one of the most appalling, disgusting things is when a rich person uses their money, the fact that they have money, as leverage to make themselves appear better than someone else. And the root of that is insecurity, in my opinion, most of the time anyway. And I feel the same way about people who use their looks. By, you know, that the truth is that they're actually insecure inside, maybe not because of their looks, but because of other reasons. And I only know this because we're all insecure. And I know it's drawing conclusions saying, well, people who act entitled are actually insecure rather than feeling arrogant. With arrogance, or with the appearance of arrogance, often there's an underlying fear or a low self-esteem over certain things in our lives. Now, like, I can only, for me, for example, you know, I know that I'm a good person. I know that I mean well. I know I don't try to harm others. And I know that I like to help folks. And I know that I'm honest in my dealings. In everything that I do, I'm honest. And that may not always be the best, you know, option for business. But the point is that in that way, I can feel like I'm, you know, a good person and I'm doing my best. But I still have these things I berate myself about. You know, you got to get this done. You need to get paperwork done, and you need to make money, and you've got to be able to, you know, on and on. And this is the inner voice that I think we all have. But when you talk about it and you're honest with it and say, well, we all have strengths in some ways and weaknesses in some ways, there's nothing wrong with that. But some people are afraid to speak about their weaknesses. They're afraid to say, well, I'm a flawed human being and I'm doing my best. When you say that, you basically take away the ammunition against you. You know, I've had plenty of people call me ugly or think that they're better than me because of their money or even because of their race. You know, I've been berated by even, say, Native Americans who say, you white people, and, you know, I've been accused of being something merely because of how I look and or my financial situation or whatnot. And I just don't give a shit. That's the thing. I've learned to, you know who I am and still realize I will have insecurities. But when it comes to encountering these people, the entitled type, there are just so many different kinds of entitled people. Some think that they're entitled to, like, for example, this somebody I know, and I got to be careful about who I mention in case of people watching my video that might know me or know somebody, but this is somebody that's probably on the other end of the spectrum. Her husband gets all upset if he packs the wrong sandwich. You know, he insists, even though she's she works her job full time and works her ass off. If he doesn't have the right lunch, he'll get all pissed at her. You know, why did you pack me that kind of lunch? And this is a type of entitlement. This is the I'm the man. You know, I should get special treatment type. You know, and a lot of women cater to that. But it's not just men entitled, of course. Women act entitled all the time, you know. well, I want, I want equality and free and equal treatment, but at the same time, I want to be pampered and taken care of. And this is not all people by any means. This is just something I've observed. We've all observed. And so, basically, in a nutshell, entitled people suck. And I think it's up to us as, to try to monitor at least our own lives and not act like we are owed something. When a lot of the times when people talk about how, let's say, oh, well, I got screwed over and I lost it all, and you act deeper. Well, what happened? Oh, I lost my house and all these things. And, well, what happened? Oh, I bought a stock that, I thought, I got insider information on that was going to boom, and it actually busted. And I'm like, okay, so you were expecting to get something for nothing, and then you ended up getting nothing. That to me isn't really, that's something that most of the time we screw ourselves over, is what I'm saying, because we expect something for nothing. And it reminds me of this quote, you cannot cheat an honest man. And it's true, because if you don't expect something for nothing, then you won't try to get that special deal or that Nigerian scam where you think you're going to get $1 million. I mean, think about the amount of people that fall for, scams daily because they expect to get something that they really aren't owed. Sometimes they're told they're owed something, but that's a different story. Anyhow, my point, I guess, that I'm trying to make is just that we should try not to act entitled in any part of our lives. And when we see people who are acting entitled, make sure you let them know. Sometimes people might say, well, what right is it of yours to speak out against somebody else for doing their own thing? And I would say I can understand that and agree. But I also believe that it's my right to speak out against somebody if I see them acting like a total fuckwad towards their wife or their kids. Or I think what happens the most times I speak up are when somebody's in the grocery store and they're acting entitled because they're a customer. This happens all the fucking time, and it's annoying as hell. They go up to the counter and treat the cashier like shit. I guess it doesn't happen as often as any of the extremely dramatic scenes, but there seems to be an entitlement that comes along with the customer, and you realize that, well, here's a person doing business too. They're just working a job, doing their best. I know somebody was pissed off about a toll bridge that they had to use every day, so he said he'd just throw the money at the person. I'm like, well, what kind of shit is that? You think this guy's working for minimum wage, sitting here in this fucking booth all day, and he wants you to throw money at him? It's disrespectful. And that's what most entitlement leads to. It's disrespect towards other people for often things they didn't even do. So, down with entitled people. It has to stop. Nobody's entitled. You're not special. You're not a snowflake. You are just another human. And when people realize that, I don't believe in the whole the whole millennial generation is all a bunch of snowflakes and they're all entitled. But I believe a lot of the ones I've seen and met are, the Logan Pauls of the world. They're disgusting. People getting, an example is a person getting upset on YouTube because their channel got deleted where they were doing nothing but doing those videos where you're like, reaction videos, the biggest garbage shit on the internet right now, where these guys getting millions of subscribers for sitting down, putting somebody else's content up in the corner and going, ha 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 ha. It's ridiculous, but it gets views, and there's a lot of kids who watch that kind of crap. And so, but anyway, when they get called out for using somebody else's content, they act entitled as if, well, this is free, for fair use, and so it goes on in a lot of different ways, and there's a lot of entitlement online too, especially in the comments I've read. It's just ridiculous. But anyhow, those are my thoughts on it. Tell me what you think, and I'll talk to y'all later. Hope you're having a good day. Subscribe, all that other stuff, description, you know what's up. Peace.